All right, good afternoon, everyone. And I lost my Zoom feed. It's good. I just lost my Zoom feed though. Okay. All right. We're going to call the meeting to order finally. It's Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Welcome everyone to our building committee meeting. Our first item on the agenda is approval of the September 14 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve them.
Thank you, Chris. Second, Steve. Are there any corrections? And all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you. That brings us the opportunity for public input. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the committee? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then to our updates. Adam, I'll turn this over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So a shorter list of updates today because we've had some items get completed. Actually, the first one, Jeff, if you want to chime in on cafeteria and classroom acoustics.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on Mark Reber's results from his test, which was, I think, a week ago last Friday. I did get an email or phone conversation with Alan regarding, where to put those felt panels. So I did a quick diagram for him, sent it to him, just sort of a very straightforward layout of, he needed a quantity of panels. So I did a layout for him. Looks like he's going to order 22 2x2 squares for the classroom. And then Mark's going to go back out there and test and see what the difference is between the before and after felt installation. So I know that's going to happen. And that's it. That's all I have for that for now.
Question from Superintendent?
Not necessarily a question, but just to make it clear that I'm not always about positive, happy news. This continues to be a huge concern. I met with teachers this morning who expressed dismay about not only a lack of progress on the acoustics in the cafeteria, but they have personal meters that are reading the decibel level. And I know that earlier measures did not indicate that that was beyond the threshold, but they've measured things above 90 decibels, which is getting into that area. And so I do think we need that report sooner than later, but more importantly, to expedite whatever intervention mitigating plan is going to be put in place. The felt tiles will be installed probably next week. We just ordered them today. We got all of that aligned. That looks like it's a quick fix. So it would be nice to get the measurements quick. And if the person is coming to do those measurements, Jeff, maybe they could visit one of the louder lunch waves. I'm hearing grades 3 and 4 tend to be loud. But I'm just wondering from your point of view, you have to have some ideas of what might be coming down the pike in terms of what we could do. I'm just wondering what the turnaround time, and it may be too soon to put that out there, but I have teachers, staff members, students complaining about this, and we need a sense of urgency, and we need to send a message that help is coming.
I got it. I understand it. I've been hammering Mark, and I'll just keep probing him during this meeting and see if he can respond. I gave him till 3:30 to respond to me. He hasn't yet, so I'll follow up soon.
Thank you.
kind of along those lines, if the acoustic panels are non-conforming, is it possible to get those replaced? I mean, it seems like there's a timeline that would take to get some of those panels, but do we have, could we even get a hold of a few of those to put into a room to test?
I mean, I don't know if Newfield's on the line here yet, but
No, they're not.
I could probably get on the horn with Ben and see what that would entail. It's a clip system, so, you know, and I know it's recessed in the classroom, so they may have to destroy one panel to get the other ones on it, but we'll figure out a way. I'll fire up Ben and see what he thinks about that.
Just to be frank on the matter, this is an item where Newfield has indicated they don't believe they're responsible. So going through Newfield, they've indicated they don't want an additional change orders, and they believe this is not within their scope to replace. So the more expeditious route is likely just procuring panels of the town's own accord, making sure we're in contact with town legal counsel about how to document this and move it forward in parallel to the Newfield items, because just that we've tried the route of indicating that, the TSKP has indicated that the panels are non-conforming. Newfield's come back and said that they don't believe that's accurate, so that's not going anywhere fast. So it's a route the town can take, but we just need to make sure that the procurement and risk management is understood. But to Richard's point, to Peter's point, if something faster wants to happen, we can get more information on that.
So then maybe what we need to do is regroup with Alan, need to touch base with Alan and see if we can't just figure out how to get some and replace them. I'll see if I can get a hold of a rep and find out what I can find out.
Question from Tony and then from Chris.
I must have missed something. These TSKP says the panels are non-conforming, the basic panel itself, not how it was hung.
Well, basically what I have seen and actually Ben from Newfield admitted was that they used a roller to paint those panels that were supposedly sprayed per the shop drawing submittal, the manufacturer's recommendations. There's a whole procedure using spray instead of using a roller, because the fear is, and we suspect what happened, was they clogged all the acoustic pores by however many coats of paint they rolled on it. So it's causing the sound to deflect much more because of that. So Newfield's denying that. They're saying they follow the manufacturer's recommendations, but as far as I'm concerned, nowhere in their recommendations say that it should have been rolled.
The point being is that we're at a point of side A says one thing, side B says another thing. So
we got to get it done. We just got to get it done.
Right. It's not going to be
Well,
decided.
the real point to my question is we could order the same panels, just treat them correctly rather than have to find an alternative. Am I right?
That's what I was alluding to. If the town wants to go that route, yes,
Thank you.
Procure additional panels. Yes.
At least if we could get enough to test them. I mean, I think there's a long lead time on some of those, but anyway, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Tony's idea is what I was heading toward, where we do a room. I mean, the Newfield has suggested that the design is wrong and or design is insufficient, and I think there's some legitimacy there that we should at least pursue. So to do some sort of a legitimate testing where we take identical or similarly specified panels and replace them in one room. And I thought we talked about this at the last meeting. I thought we were going to do it. And then actually see what it's like. Forget the tester. If Peter is saying, ask the teachers. You don't need to spend $5,000 for some tester to come in when you can just ask some normal people, how does it work? And I think we could start there and should start there. But I think, as Peter's saying, as other people are saying, action. Let's get this going. We're starting to act like we talk about Newfield when we can be doing this. Let's do it.
All right, so can we, anyway, get a hold of some panels as quickly as we can.
And even if they're not the same brand, just if you want to try to make a something of an experiment and a test. You get similarly spec'd panels in terms of their acoustic qualities and put them in.
Put 'em in, yeah.
This is Steve at Newfield. Can you hear me?
Yes.
When the time comes, we're gonna produce pictures of each and every room with spraying application in process, with everything taped off and masked, with the dry fall on the floor and cleaned. We have documented pictures of each of the rooms being sprayed as per spec. And the innuendo that we didn't do it properly is just plain wrong. Secondly, we've asked the architect to look at his calculations that should have been vetted out for design. And we've never received them, so we can go and do our own analysis if you're going to pass judgment in one direction, and that's new. We've not received that documentation. We would like to see that documentation. I keep asking the question, when you go from a soft good floor to a porcelain tile floor, something should have changed in the acoustical treatment of those walls, and nothing changed. It's the easy mark, blame the contractor. Where is that documentation so we have a fair opportunity to review it? Was it designed properly? We have a fair opportunity. The conversations in this committee meeting and during the owners' meetings always seem to go in one direction.
Steve, if you have some pictures of that happening, and we can know it's in a specific room, I frankly would love to see it. And so that, yeah, we can stop imagining that they were painted, but we don't have any. The only thing we have is that the things don't seem to work, and that yeah, our architects keep saying that it's been rolled over. So if you've got documentation, please share it now. I think the time has come. You say when the time comes. I think the time's now.
Yeah, Steve, because I think I'm not only going with what we've uncovered, but Ben even said that everything was rolled. It wasn't sprayed during one of the OAC meetings in front of everybody that was there. So I'm assuming that what he said was correct and what we've uncovered is correct. So if there's anything different, by all means, I'd like to see it.
Let me ask about the project oversight that the town is paying for with Colliers and with the architect. Did you see us rolling them? I mean, these rooms didn't happen overnight, is all I'm saying. These rooms are masked and sprayed.
Well, this is what I suggest we do. Adam, you, me, and Alan get on the phone, maybe even starting tomorrow, and figure out what we're going to do to make this work.
Steve had a question.
More of a statement. I think at this point, what the committee is more focused on right now is the fact that there are kids and teachers in the building and it's not performing. So whoever's fault it is, we can sort that out later, but we need to fix this now. We can't figure out whose fault it was and then take another 3 months to assign blame. Right now, we need to have a fix. And I'd like to see somebody say, I'm going to spearhead this and fix this, because every single day our kids are in this building and our teachers are having a hard time. And 90 decibels is really loud. Like, I don't know where hearing damage starts, but that's 90 decibels is not acceptable for a school.
And that's in the cafeteria and the classrooms, or just the cafeteria?
That's the cafeteria and some of the lunch waves.
So Steve, I got to ask a question. The testing that took place, I think for baseline testing, the appropriate place is to go into the lower level classrooms where there's an acoustical ceiling. And I'm curious on what the acoustics in those rooms are telling, and what story does that tell? They've only tested the areas where we've got hard ceilings with these acoustical panels with glass walls. I'm curious just whether those rooms got tested. And I don't disagree. 90 decibels is pretty loud. And I can't say that, we were told by the manufacturer that even if the panels were rolled, we lose a high range and a low range in acoustics, but the mid-range actually increases in value. Now, I have no idea what that means, but even if the panels were rolled, there's some acoustical value that still remains. And 90 decibels, in my opinion, it was never designed properly. So you say somebody needs to move forward to make a change. As we've said in the past, replacing the panels with the same kind of panels with the same methodology doesn't appear to me is going to fix the problem.
Steve, to answer your question, I'll reach out to Jeff tomorrow on specifications, and we'll get something in line in terms of what can be procured within the public procurement method to move this forward.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, so we'll look for an update the next meeting on how procurement's going. Yeah, oh, Ryan?
Just for the benefit of the group, it appears the CDC says that over 70 decibels for a sustained period of time, chronic, can lead to hearing damage, and anything acutely over 120 decibels. So this would, we obviously don't know instrumentation wise the accuracy of this, the 90, but it would seem that probably north of 70 in any case if you have instruments saying 90. So definitely cause for chronic exposure concerns.
Well, P&Z, a lot of times, a lot of municipalities, outside noise, you have to maintain a minimum of 60 decibels at the property line. 90s, like loud, like really loud.
Right.
And just a
Chris?
clarification, Peter, the 90 was in the cafeteria, correct? Again, on the teacher's devices, that was in the cafeteria?
That's correct. In the cafeteria. And again, these are just probably apps on a phone.
That's fine, yeah.
So, you know,
It'll
who knows?
still give you a
They're
sense.
accurate, but yeah.
And did you get any of that kind of data from, teacher scientist data from the classroom as well?
No, the primary concern that I'm hearing is the cafeteria.
Okay.
The classroom acoustics are a concern, but I think that they are less of a concern than the cafeteria. And I'm hopeful that the felt panels will be the treatment that is reasonable, quick, easy, because we're not dealing in those cases with decibel and reverberation. We're just dealing with that echoey kind of sound.
Right.
And it's not every single classroom where we have teachers complaining about that,
Right.
but
So-
it is the cafeteria.
Okay. So Randy, just for the sake of clarity, could we review the actual action plan on this? Who is doing what, so that we're not back at the next meeting and we're where we were at the last meeting, which is what I feel like is happening today.
So tomorrow, Adam and Jeff, are you gonna get started?
Yes, and then next week we'll follow on with what can actually be procured. Because you can't just go to
And-
the store and buy it. So we have to identify what the town is legally able to buy and how. And then come up with a strategy from there.
And the felt is going to be ordered by
We've already done that.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah.
That's,
That was the
Okay.
first step that was taken a couple of weeks ago.
And
And is there-
installation of that, is that arranged of the felt?
that's gonna be with facilities, and so Alan and Bill will help with that piece of it.
And do we have a estimated time when it's coming in?
I heard next week.
Okay.
If Bill or Alan are on the call, they might have more information.
So let me understand
No,
this.
we'll-
Go ahead, Alan.
This Alan. Just say that we'll confirm delivery and we'll get them installed as soon as they get here.
Okay, thanks.
And I know Mark, after they're installed, is going to test that classroom again. So ideally, if that comes back okay, then we're just dealing primarily with the cafeteria right now.
Okay,
Thank you for that summary.
okay. All right, then heat pumps.
So there was a good on-site meeting with the commissioning agent and controls and Kohler Ronan with regard to some of the last remaining commissioning concerns. There, in short summary, the heat pumps haven't been tripping, so it appears that those adjustments have fixed the issues with the heat pumps tripping. The temperature set points in the rooms that were particularly cold have been adjusted up, and the commissioning agent and Bill Treach have been in coordination about what those set points need to be in the various seasons. So that appears that it would have resolved the issue, but that's still to be confirmed by teacher feedback over the next several days and weeks. And then the whistling sound was another set point issue with pressure. Again, I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I don't know much about it, but there was a pressure issue, and that was made worse by the solution to the heat pump problem. So they then adjusted the pressure value, and that appears to have resolved the issue. But again, that needs to be confirmed by end user results over the next days and weeks. So good progress on those items. And then the commissioning agent is working with the actual data as part of their occupancy and measurement and verification to review how the building is performing against where it should be, and what the seasonal changes and net zero impacts are as we get more data about the building being in use.
Okay, Rich has a question, comment. Rich?
Just a comment. I noticed a noticeable improvement already in the HVAC system in the classroom. I'm not hearing the whistling and the blowing that I heard before. So not laminate. So far, so good.
Mary?
I just want to follow up and kind of double back to what Chris said earlier about not needing experts and just trusting the people who are in there working. So if we think everything is going okay in terms of temperature and whistling noise that Rich can verify, and in keeping with that theory of let's ask the people who are there and get a real report, and we have a way to check with those people in the next couple of weeks so that we can put this to bed maybe once and for all, and not say a month from now, it's still a problem.
At least he has to take a nap.
Yes, we've started running a list of these items with teacher feedback that I'm coordinating with Peter and Principal Kate McCoy on. So we're developing a system to check in on all those. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Chris?
I'm just curious, Adam, on these thermostats where the rooms were cold, are we having to put in this new system with these fancy devices? Are we having to tell the system to heat to 76 degrees, for example, to get to 72? I mean, are we putting in false numbers on these things? What's going on?
Some of the initial set points were too low. And so right now it's at 72, I believe. So it's not like it's going up to 70, like you said, 76 to hit 72. It was that they were just in individual locations within the system were too low.
Chris, they're being optimized to match what was designed as part of the net zero calculations. So there is a certain range that the building needs to work within to meet the net zero design and the net zero calculations. They were not at that level yet. So, again, a complex building, as Adam said, we've been in contact with them even this morning, talking about tracking feedback through Kate and Peter. But yes, they have now confirmed that the set points are within the norms of where it was designed.
Great. Thank you both.
Not a duct tape solution. I think that's what you're driving at.
Any questions on that? Okay.
And the last is just with the touch base on outstanding work. Newfield has provided a response to where they're at on the punch list items. So that just came through today. So we're looking at those. Some of the items that will still trend into the spring just through the nature of the growing season would be some of the site work and seeding and things of that nature. And then obviously any of the outstanding work that remains would be slated to be resolved via the credit system that's been identified in the punch list and with Newfield, and/or through our ongoing discussions with town legal counsel and the contract review.
Okay. Questions on punch list or anything? Okay, Ryan.
This is probably a mistake, but sorry. Well, okay, I was gonna ask it on, when we were wrapping up the acoustics discussion, but we were transitioning, I said, but I guess I want to ask, so just to go back to the acoustics, understandably so, a lot of the focus and attention, you know, the concern is on the decibel level, which is obviously sort of, you know, volume. But I just want to make sure whatever analysis is being done, I'm not an acoustician, I don't know what the right terminology is. I'll just say my understanding is that it's not just a matter of volume and decibels and keeping that within a safe range, but also just the cacophonous nature, the competing sound, the echo, you know, so I just want to make sure that whatever analysis is being done and whatever solutions, you know, I know Jeff and Adam and company are getting together tomorrow to try to start figuring out what to deploy, what can be procured, but just want to make sure, because this has been quite an odyssey, that in fact, the analysis is not just looking at safe decibel ranges and calling it good, because you can have something in my mind that's within safe decibel range, but you can't hear particularly well because it's just kind of bouncing all over the place. So
Understandability.
yeah, decipher, but whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm sure that, again, there's an industry term, I have no doubt, but not knowing what that is, I guess in layperson's terms, is the scope of this, and then by extension, whatever solutions we're trying to arrive at, looking at both decibel / volume and decipherability. Yes. For
That
sure.
That's the intent. Yep. So
I
whatever.
don't know how that's measured, but
Right. That's what the Mark Reber report will, you know, I know reverberance was a term thrown out there, whatever.
Reverberance,
The idea is that it can't be loud and hurt people's ears, and you have to be able to hear people better than you have been.
So my
So-
sense is, as soon as I get this thing from Mark, and I'm already hammering him, so I'll get this thing very soon. If I have to drive down there and get it from him myself, then we'll just figure out what we need to do panel wise to get to get what you're asking for, you know, better, right? And then what we'll do, then what I'll have to do with him and Adam and Alan, then figure out how we can either attach over or replace, or what that step is to just, you know, cover what we need to cover, and then test it and figure it out. But then in the meantime, the teachers will be experiencing it. Then we'll get reports from everybody and the principal and the superintendent as how that's working. So that's the way I kind of see this thing happening. So tomorrow will be the first step, and we'll get whatever we need to get from the reps and from Mark, and just get it done.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Any other items to, as updates for the committee?
You know, if I may, it strikes me that it's just another, maybe not worth an angle, but it's something to think about. All this is assuming that the acoustical panels were built to spec. We don't know that. And maybe they are, the component itself is out of whack. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I'm of the mind that the ceilings are a big piece of it, and that wasn't accounted for, but that's a bias I've had a while because of the renderings. But in any case, I think there might be something, might be worth doing something eventually to see whether or not the product itself was really what is spec'd.
Any other update items? Question, Tony?
I would just say that what Chris is suggesting should happen sooner rather than later.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on. Invoice packet and procurement.
So for procurement, there's just one item. It's in your packet. Is a Colliers extension of the ongoing administrative support. I can share that on the screen. For an extension of $12,000 as part of our ongoing hourly services for that.
Is there a motion regarding this proposal?
I would like to make a motion to approve an increase in PO 23004058 by $12,000 for a total of $22,000 for ongoing hourly administrative support services by Collier's project leaders per their proposal dated September 25th, 2023.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Tony. Any further questions, comments? And all in favor of the motion to approve this PO, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. And that passes. Then invoice.
Invoice packet, it's a smaller one because we're kind of breaking them up amongst the committee packets the next couple meetings. It's for $35,915.18. There are 3 invoices from the Granite Group. This is some items purchased by Bill as part of the reaction to the variable frequency drives going out from the lightning storm. As well as ArtFX, who is the signage company. The sign has been installed, lights are working, have the permits and documentation from them. So this is to close out their services for the monument sign.
Mary?
I would like to make a motion to approve the invoice packet dated today, September 28th, 2023, including invoices from ArtFX and Granite Group for a total approval of $35,915.18.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Is there a second? Steve, seconds. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Can't believe this, but that brings us to adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, everybody seconds it. Let's say that Steve seconds it. All right, then all in favor, we can indicate, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, everyone.
Joking.